everyone. We are here with Dhafina.
Hi. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, Dhafina, we are A-level course mates. Is that the
Okay.
word? A-level course mates back in 2021. But
Alright.
then, like, honestly, you're the only person I know who lives alone with their parents in the same state. like
Yeah.
like I know it's quite often thing in Western cultures, but I feel like in Malaysia it's quite rare. Like, do you think so?
Yeah, it is rare. I haven't heard anyone that's done that so far.
Do you like it though? Do you enjoy living alone, having your own space?
Of course, definitely. The only takeaway is I have to plan, my money properly before I start spending extremely, maybe on clothes or leisure stuff that I like. But besides that, I think it's okay. It's really great for me.
So it's mainly the money managing part.
Yeah, part of it is the money management.
Understand. But how long have you been living alone actually?
I think I started living alone since August or July 2021.
Also since A-level started lah.
Yeah, since A level started. I mean, initially, it wasn't like a plan for me to live alone. I actually had a roommate back then. But then she left me because her college was far away. So,
The way you say she left me is like
oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah, she had to leave. So, like, the whole apartment was for myself. And of course, during that being alone phase, I had to find someone, like a roommate, to replace that room because I didn't want my parents to pay the full price of the whole apartment. But in the end, we just gave up because there were no suitable candidates to live with me.
Do you have any like adulting hacks you wish you knew back when you just first started like living alone?
Um, Adulting hacks. I think you have to force yourself to educate yourself on things you're gonna be part of. So I guess let's say for me, it was since I'm gonna be moving out or that I know that soon at some point I'm gonna be staying alone. I had to educate myself on what type of apartments that are okay with me, what area that I should live in, and also just like the little things in terms of like those pipes, air cons, electricity
yeah.
bills that I had to educate myself on. So I think that's like most important. And the other important thing that I would like to take note of is that some things are too good to be true. So you had to physically go to the apartment and take a look at it yourself, like the agent who usually conduct this like physical meeting between you and the landlord, usually they'll say sweet stuff about the apartment, but then soon when you start living in that apartment, you see like problems are like the pipe leaking, air conditioner not working. So I had to like educate myself on finding an apartment. So yeah.
Did you get these tips like did you do your own research or you asked around like people who you know?
Initially, I started asking around, first off with my parents, but they seem to be like they can't really help me because they were so busy. So they let go things of finding apartment with me. So everything I had to do by myself. So of course, the first way of how I educate myself is through YouTube's. And secondly, of course, Google reviews are definitely very important. If you want to know like how are you gonna live life or at least a glimpse of how the management is like in that apartment. Yeah,
But after it's been like more than a year, almost 2 years, I'd say, right?
yeah, almost 2 years.
Living alone versus living with family. Like which one would you prefer? Like the pros and cons.
Definitely, I prefer to live alone. But of course, there would be cons. But the pros of course, is like you have your free time. You can go back anytime you want. You wanna like hold some held some parties. Like you can do that. Everything you can do. But then the cons of living alone is when you start being lazy, or also when you start getting busy.
Right.
You can't meal prep for yourself. Sometimes you have to spend extra, like if there are things broken in the house or food when you're eating outside. So those are the cons. And also sometimes you get freaked out when you live by
Right.
yourself,
Yeah.
sleeping at night, sometimes you hear noises, and also like the security system.
Do you watch horror movies?
Yeah, I do.
Do you have trouble like after watching horror movies, like you get a bit freaked out at home?
I used to be freaked out when I watch horror movies. Like I banned myself watching horror movies at some point when I started living alone. But soon afterwards, I'm more scared of people than ghosts.
Yes, actually, wait. Which actually, no, I'm the total opposite.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm okay with gore and like human horror, but when it comes to supernatural, like Annabelle, Chucky, like it irks me more. Like for some reason, I don't know.
I think like there's more danger when I see a human than when I meet up with a ghost. That's how I feel.
That's true though. That's true. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't know, but I feel like when in like a horror movie context, it's. But like, do you have to call up someone though when it gets like when you get really freaked out?
Um, I used to call I used to call my dad whenever I get freaked out or whenever I hear sounds in the apartment, especially like my last apartment in Dilata because it's very huge for me. But then like recently I got to handle those stuff better. Like when I started moving in to my second apartment, which is the current apartment that I'm living in now, I saw like handprints on my window, and those were
No way.
like streaky handprints.
Oh my god.
So at first I was kind of freaked out, but then I just told myself that hey, like the reviews are good. There's nothing paranormal, and I was in contact with the last tenant who lived at my apartment, so everything was fine. So I just ignored the fact that
Like, how about insects?
insects. I rarely face insects problem. Like I've never
True, it's like apartment, so it's like
yeah, maybe like for landed houses, you might have some problems. But for me, I rarely see cockroaches. I think only once I had to kill a cockroach.
uh,
So yeah, I think it was mostly like ants problems because I have pets.
oh
Yeah.
wait, pets attract ants?
For me, because sugar gliders they eat like fresh fruits.
Right.
So I have to leave it out and like maybe like for like a few hours before I take it in. So I think ants starts to accumulate around that food. So that's the only thing I'm facing lah, like with insects.
But it's like another thing though. Living alone is one thing. Living alone with pets, like it's a whole different experience. Like you have to I heard from my colleagues recently that you actually have to make time for your pets every single day to spend time with them. Like like does it come to a point where you're like so busy, so tired, you get home, you still have chores, but you still have to like demand your pets. Like it's kinda like a struggle. Like how do you kind of balance your time with that?
I think there's no way to balance your time with that. So at the end of the day, when I know that the day was hectic, I still need to keep in mind that hey, I need to spend time with my pets. So what I like to do is I like to I have a tent, like a really big tent in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw it.
Yeah.
So like I'll keep my pets in there. I'll put some pillows, cushion, and also like their play toy and snacks out so they can like roam around. At the same time, I'll just do my work next to it.
Oh.
So sometimes they'll come and approach me. They'll think like they think like I'm some kind of tree because I'm so static. So they'll just climb on me. Sometimes they jump onto my face. But I mean,
Do they scratch?
they sometimes scratch lah if they're curious. But then that's the simplest way lah that I can spend time with them. So it's not really like high maintenance, but at the same time it's like time consuming, you know. And another thing about keeping pets like sugar gliders, every day I prepare their meal from scratch. Nothing is frozen, nothing is in like a can, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's like better for their health and it's more healthier. So I think that's like the most consuming thing I have to do for them.
How to meal prep though? I've been like trying to meal prep, but I don't know. I just find it so. I mean, like cooking in general, I find it intimidating.
You're saying meal prep for us, right? Not my pets. Okay, I'm sorry. Meal prepping. Like I have a list on my phone, like from Monday to Sunday, and I used to meal prep for like a week. But then soon later on, I find it that if I meal prep for a week, I tend to waste food more. So I'll have a lot of like food scraps here and there. So what I like to do is I meal prep for like 3-4 days. Of course, like at the end of the day, I have to go to the supermarket more frequently than before, but I think it helps. And secondly, I got myself like the most cutest and functional, yeah, I think the most function electric lunchbox.
Oh, so it like heats up and stuff like that.
It heats up food and also it can cook food. So I can just
How
like
big is it though?
I think it was like this big.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty big, huge. I wouldn't say that heavy depending on what kind of food you're gonna bring. But like in the morning or at night, since like I have some extra time, I'll like to meal prep, as in I'll put raw food, some ingredients like soy sauce or oyster sauce. I'll store it in the fridge. The next day, I'll just bring it out, go to my place. Like right now, I'm working at like some cafe, so I'll charge the electric box up, and while I charge it up, it can cook my food.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, not only does it heat things up, I can cook boiled eggs. I can make yogurt for some point.
What?
Yeah, and then I can also like fry fish.
What?
Yeah,
But it's essentially a lunchbox.
yeah, it's essentially a lunchbox.
That's so cool. Why have I not known about this? I only thought it's like there's this kind of like 3-in-1 kind of cookware that you store at home. I thought it's just that you cannot really bring it around.
No, you can bring it around, but the cons is that you need a like a plug point in order to cook or reheat these foods. Yeah, that's it lah.
You're moving to Germany soon.
Yes.
You're getting your own apartment there soon.
Yes.
What do you expect living there? Like culture wise, the people, the food, like what how do you think it's gonna differ from how is it in Malaysia?
I think the most concern thing that I have is on food.
Yeah, definitely same.
Yeah, and also the toilet. So
Wait, why?
because they don't have bidet, you know.
That's the thing. I found out last 2 weeks about UK and US also. Like, do they just walk around with DDF? Like, why?
That's the thing. It's apparently like a practice in UK, US, and also all over Europe. But I do understand that in Germany, you can actually install your own bidet.
At your own place?
Yeah, that's the limited part. So it's only at your own place. I was trying to find out about, you know, if there's some kind of portable bidet that I can bring around.
I thought that's what you were referring to when you say you can like install your own bidet. I'm like, okay, so people like okay.
If I can install my bidet everywhere and it's portable, I would bring it everywhere, you know.
Same actually. I don't know, it just feels so weird like after you do your business and it's just dry on dry.
Yes, it's disgusting. It's not so clean lah.
I found out like 2 weeks ago and I was really surprised. I thought it was just a US thing and that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to go to the US. And I found out it's also the same in the UK and yeah, all hope was lost.
Oh, but so where do you plan to go now?
Going to London.
London.
Yeah, I don't know, like it's honestly, objectively, it's still not that worth it in my opinion. The living costs, everything. And I'm still worried about the seasonal depression and funky weather. And someone told me that it smells in London.
Generally, what I understand from my German teacher, like it is clean. It is relatively safe, but there are certain, I would say, states that are not safe. So, for instance, like Frankfurt.
Oh.
So there.
Isn't that the place with the sausages?
Yeah, that's true. But it's just that what I heard is if I'm a girl walking alone at night at some creepy alley, I have to be careful because I might get kidnapped and also like I might get pickpocketed, especially around in Frankfurt. So there are also like other parts of Germany that are not safe.
Oh, I saw this TikTok the other day. They compared areas of London to areas in KL, and then there was this place they compare. Like, if I'm not wrong, it's called Croydon.
Okay.
And then they compare it to Klang. It's just a bunch of gangsters
Oh my god.
and people running around in construction sites. But I'm not sure how accurate it is though. Like, have you done your research? Like where to like look for apartments over there?
I mean, generally looking for an apartment, even based on my German teacher, he said it was really hard to find an apartment for himself. So it's gonna be more difficult for me. Initially, I wanted to stay at the student accommodation place because it's cheaper, but then I heard it's kind of overcrowded there, and it's also a mixed dorm, which I'm not comfortable about. So yeah, I plan to get an apartment, hopefully in Berlin. Yeah, that's it for now because it's a city place and most of the
Your
people
uni's
there.
gonna be there, right? In Berlin?
Sorry?
Your uni's gonna be in Berlin, right?
Definitely. So yeah, and everyone kind of speaks English
Is it?
based on my German teacher.
So after your uni, you plan to stay in Germany forever? Like,
Yeah.
ever.
Ever.
What, like, does your family know about this? Like, what do they think of it? Like,
Oh no, my parents were the one who suggested that.
okay, like, but are they moving somewhere else as well, or are they, like, staying here in Malaysia?
I think they're gonna stay here. Yeah.
Oh, they're okay with you living far and away.
I think they're not so okay, with the distance, but I think it was for my own good, because it was my life.
Yeah.
So they want the best for me. So I think they're willing to sacrifice that distance and not really seeing each other frequently for my life.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Because, like, for me, like, I haven't told my mom, but honestly, I do plan on staying in UK, Europe, or like at least around the world rather than staying in Malaysia. Even when I told her about, like, when I suggested stuff like this, and then she was like, "So you're not gonna come back? So you're just not gonna, like, spend time with me anymore?" Like, it's like, I understand where the concern is from, but yeah, like, did you find it a hard decision to make, or were you just like, you followed your parents' suggestion and you're like, yeah, I think that's better?
Well, I think I just followed whatever that my parents wanted. So if they told me like, hey, like it's better if you stay abroad. It's for your own good. I mean, I'll follow it. And also, I also had the knowledge or maybe the idea that my mom might actually buy a house in Germany. Like a holiday house for my whole family to go there. Because also, there's another plan where like my siblings will also be encouraged to live abroad.
Would they also be Germany or like somewhere else?
Definitely somewhere else. Yeah, but not in the UK or US. It's like both these countries, my parents don't really prefer because they say
Understandable.
like it's. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I mean, based on them, they say it's typical and
It
it's
is
really
typical.
costly.
It is costly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, because I wanted to ask if you plan to come back to Malaysia, or at least for now, do you think there's an area in KL or Selangor where you think it's like your ideal neighborhood, like your dream, like, area to live in? Like, is there anywhere like that, or are you satisfied with the area you're living now?
Definitely, I'm not satisfied with where I'm staying in terms of like the security.
Oh, it's not
Because
good. Like,
it's actually good, like
like
the house, like the apartment and the system itself, but outside the apartment, it doesn't look so safe and sometimes it looks scary to me. Um, but it can be great. At the same time, I was thinking of moving out to another place, but it's just so expensive. Like I have two options. Initially, it was Subang, specifically Sunway South Key, like one of those apartments. But it has been very expensive, and it will be a long drive if I want to travel from that apartment to my German class in damansara.
oh,
So currently, where I'm staying is already good enough. And another place that I think I've made up my mind if I were to ever live in Malaysia would be ttdi.
oh, why?
Because I think if you want that KL vibes, like Subang, those modern people things, it's definitely gonna be in ttdi, and it's rather safer than in Subang.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone seems to know each other there in ttdi.
Penthouse kind of vibe, loft kind of vibe.
Yeah, love kind of vibe.
I feel like, yeah, it's like living alone. Apartment is more suitable than landed housing, right?
Definitely, it's definitely way suitable in terms of security lah.
But I don't know about you, but there's this area in Bangsa where it's like, Bangsa is like quite like a lot of different neighborhoods, but there's this neighborhood where it's like up the hill, and the bungalows and the landed houses are like above the hill. You can see like up, and the view is nice, and then the area is pretty good also. Like, would you like think like landed house is something you consider after like you have a family or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. But I think I'm more leaning towards apartment if I were to have a family.
Why so?
Um, I wouldn't have to worry about my kids, and if they want to go for a walk anywhere, they can go to the gym. They have access to the gym. They have access to pool, and hopefully can find a I can find an apartment that has a good playground for them.
Mm.
So it's all nice for the kids. So that's it. That's what I'm thinking. But if it was like a landed house, I'll have to drive them here and there because there's not much facilities in my house.
Did you find it hard to get used to a new space when you move? And like if so, like did you do anything specific to like make it feel more homey?
Yeah, I think when I moved to another apartment, I find it really hard to sleep. Maybe because I'm worried, there might be another human being that's gonna pop up in that house.
Oh my god, yeah.
Too much scary movies. So what I like to do is, I like to call my boyfriend before I go to sleep. I just like him to comfort me that hey, that everything's gonna be fine. And also I'll sleep near to my gliders, like I'll move the cage nearer to me. So at least I feel like I have company, and they'll keep an eye out for me because they don't sleep at night.
Right.
Yeah, they usually make noises when there's like, something moving or like, when something happens, like, something fall down. Yeah, that's it.
Is there like an ultimate apartment red flag where you're just like once you spot it, it's a no-go?
Oh yeah. First, I'll check the Google review. If it's really terrible, like there's robbery cases, then that's like ultimate red flag. Secondly, when I visit, I'll ask about the management system. If it's really bad, and also it's also like a no for me. And third is your agent. My agent has to be reliable and also communicative with me. Like he's good at it. But if it's not, then I'll still get the apartment. But I prefer it to be like from a different agent.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, did you find your German class by yourself, or like did your parents help with you?
I find it by myself. Yeah.
What's the trickiest thing about German?
The language, right? You're asking. I think it's the pronunciation, and also there's 3 genders for each noun.
3.
Yeah, female, neutral, and male. So +1, it would be plural. So 4, I guess.
I thought French is already complex enough with 2.
Nah.
Oh.
So that's one of it. So you have to memorize, like maybe the chair is a female, the table is a male. You have to know because the structure of the sentence would completely change depending on the gender. And secondly, I think it's the listening test because I don't know why. I think they just intentionally put it really hard. Like for instance, the speaker would talk like he is rapping. So you
For
have
real?
to, yeah, for real.
Wait, that's like what's the test called? DELG D like is your because for us like French is like DELF, like DELF. F I imagine stands for French, like because I think it's the same system like the European one because it's also A1, A2,
I'm
B1,
not so
B2.
sure about Delft. I've never heard of Delft.
Oh, then like what's the certification called for like?
I actually have no idea yet. All I know is A1, B1, B2, test off. That's it. I'm sorry.
So like you don't know like how the certificate's gonna look like?
No, not yet. I haven't even received mine yet.
Oh, but you should have 2 by now, right? For A1 and
I
A2.
should have to. It's just that maybe I didn't have time to pick it up.
Oh.
So yeah, that's it. And like another thing that I think the German language is hard, yes, the listening. But if the listening test is easy, the background, there would be background noises while the speaker is talking. Like maybe it would be like a party setting, so you hear like celebrations, fireworks.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know about that.
It happens a lot.
Because like I have to do IELTS also, right, for
Uh-huh.
Kings, and then like the listening tests honestly are like very similar to SPM. It's quite straightforward and quite easy. I cannot imagine like they're really putting you into like real life situations there. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was surprising to me when I heard like parties and like
Were you
cafe
surprised
setting.
when you first heard it?
I was so surprised, and in fact, it was kind of overbearing compared to the speaker.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it's too bad, like they'll only repeat your the listening part twice,
Mhm.
and you immediately have to answer.
Right. Challenging, eh?
Very.
It's like the pronunciation is like very throaty, like is it like a lot of like throat muscles going on? Like because it always sounds so aggressive. Like,
Yeah, I think they just intentionally do it like that.
do you think you have a different persona when you speak German?
Sometimes I do only because my teacher enforces it on us,
Mhm.
encourages us to speak like a German. So
Would you like to like demonstrate a bit, like introduce yourself or something?
Ja, I mean like ich heiße Dhafina, ich bin 20 Jahre alt, ich komme aus Malaysia, something like that.
Oh, they pronounce Malaysia as Malaysia.
Yes.
In French, it's Malaisie. Is it?
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Oh, I think like a lot of language they
Pronounce
pronounce.
different countries differently. Honestly, that's one thing I never considered when learning a new language. But once, like, I was like, oh right, we pronounce numbers different. We pronounce countries and nationalities different. Oh my god.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. But how do you stay motivated though? Like you're so occupied, like you're learning languages, adulting, taking care of yourself, your pets, working, learning. Like you are involved in so many things. Like how you know?
Um, this is pretty tricky. I have like two ways. So one of the ways is I do not give up. Giving up as in like first off I'll actually look through my schedule if I have enough rest. I think before this I didn't really take care of myself and I just overwork. I think this is like frequent for a lot of people, including you. So,
Yes.
till my boyfriend collapsed.
Oh, out of like.
Stress.
Oh my god.
And I think that gave me like a realization that hey, I gotta take it slow too. If not, I'll become like him. In fact, maybe worse, because he recovered in a few days. And for me, I actually understood by my doctor that I have like a low immune system, so I have to take care of myself.
I feel.
Yeah, but besides that, like if I really want to do it, and how I'm gonna stay motivated is in terms of like stuff. Like when I work, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get money. I can get myself like a beautiful dress. Like for Germany, like my parents motivated me by like telling me they're gonna get me an apartment, and I can actually buy myself a car when I'm in Germany.
Oh wait, that's so cool though.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
so
You don't have to squeeze in like the metro with the rest of the people.
oh yeah, and the other part is like there's like two parts, right? Is staying how to stay motivated by enticing myself with stuff, and the other way is I would just give up. This is not really I would just give up. I mean, it's not that I dropped everything, but I'll carefully plan myself like which are my priorities. For instance, like I had to stop my German class for a while because I had to prioritize my A levels exam. So I just had to entirely like give up on my language at that moment, and it was better because I had to take care of myself and the things that are around me, like my gliders.
Yeah, I do think it's like something to really learn. I feel like we always focus on how we like learn things, like take on responsibilities, but it's not really talk about how we delegate and let go of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's always like you want to do more, you want to achieve more, you want to get more. But like it comes to a point where you really have to consider whether you want to give 100% on all your different things, or are you just going to give like 20% with like 10 different things. It's like you have to make a choice. So
You have to make a choice. I think why people struggle with these kind of stuff is because they're not really like content and have that self inner peace that you are enough with yourself.
yeah, definitely.
So like there are people who measure themselves, like their self-worth based on their achievement. I think I recently stopped doing that back in March, so I'm really content with myself. So if I'm not that busy and I see my friends are so busy, I feel fine. You know, I finally like I'm able to feel fine without feeling anything else. Yeah, that's it.
Any tips on like how to really learn to let go of certain things and not overwork, prevent burnout?
uh, I think this is like fake it till you make it. You know, the facts are already there in front of you. You just gotta take that decision to let go of things. So if you find like yourself a bit hesitant to let go of things, you will need to be a third person for yourself. You know, because as a third person, we feel less emotional with things.
Yes, yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
heard recently also.
Yeah, that's why it's best if you also get like an outsider to speak on your behalf, like of what you're currently dealing with. And sometimes you just gotta listen to the person. So at the end, you really have to drop it. Sometimes you're gonna feel regret afterwards, but know that there was a reason why you're doing it. You know. So yeah, just fake it till you make it. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be comfortable at first, but soon later you will feel more content with yourself.
That's such great advice.